too far away from their start, and we were in that preview, if you're watching it a few minutes ago, talking about the quality of the field here. Talked about the two big names, see them in a second, but also Joyce Jepkirui here. Kirui was second in the New York half marathon earlier this year in a pretty swift 67.41, Commonwealth champion in 10,000 meters. Former winner of the Great North Run, won here in 2013, Priska Jeptu, which was going through a real purple patch in her career, 2012-2013. 8th in the London Marathon earlier on this year, was not in Rio, not selected for the Kenyan team, which she was pretty disappointed about. Gemma Steele. Well, Gemma's flirted with the marathon, but the half marathon is certainly an event which she's done very well at. Third best ever British athlete, behind Paula Radcliffe and Liz McColgan at this distance. Gemma will be hoping to lead the British contingent today. And then, as we saw in that piece, one of the all-time greats, if not the best there's been, certainly on the track, Tirunesh Dibaba, won the Great North Run as well in 2012, has got real potential still on the roads, despite everything that she's done on the track, all of her Olympic titles. And joining her, finally with an Olympic title, Vivian Cheruiyot, one of Kenya's greatest ever athletes, has won world titles before, but she took that 5,000 metre title, beating Ayana after having come second to Ayana in the 10,000 metres. So the elite women have the roads all to themselves to begin with, and Sebco, big smiles. Come on, Seb. There we go. So the elite women finally get underway, and a load of support for them. Obviously, most of the women will be making up 50% of the main field for the Great North Run. A small contingent, though, choosing to take part in this elite race. And a few others out there to look for. Ali Dixon, who, of course, represented Great Britain in the marathon, just in the blue. Sunderland stroller there, right with the sunglasses, just behind Gemma Steele and Charlotte Purdue. And Charlotte Purdue, again, one of our bright young talents from over recent years, trying to move up, trying to make the team in Rio in the marathon, as indeed did one or two others in here, Susan Partridge as well. So it'll be interesting to watch how the Brits do. But on a day like today, excuse me, when the weather is so good, a little slight following breeze as well, almost perfect conditions for running fast if they chose to do it. So I think an intriguing racing prospect for Cheruiyot and Tirunesh Dibaba. So the names scrolling through there, Lily Partridge, she could well go pretty good today. Freya Ross. And if we're thinking about times on a day like this, I'm not sure whether Dibaba and Cheruiyot are thinking about times, but course record, Mary Kitani, who won the last 2 years in 2014 and 2015, 65.39 in 2014. I'm not sure we're going to see that today, but let's hope we get a pretty quick race. Well, this is what they've got ahead of them. It should be pretty familiar to those of you who've watched this over the years, but if not, I'll try and guide you through this. Overall, you can see the elevation profile there. They do drop in distance. Nice downhill section over the Tyne Bridge and then into Gateshead, past Gateshead International Stadium, on the dual carriageway up past Hughes Roundabout, the big crowds there. And then at about 6 miles, they take the turn at what's locally known as Whitemare Pool, past my old track at Jarrow at the 7-8 mile point, and then they turn right up the John Reed Road. This is where it gets a little bit of a drag up in towards the Nuke at South Shields, and then they'll be able to smell the seafront, drop steeply down along the Lees and find us here at the finish. Well, I'm delighted to say these cameras are coming from our helicopter, of course, and the other helicopter, which can carry more people and more weight, brought Brendan and Paula, and they've made it into the commentary box. I was a little bit worried, guys, but welcome. Safe journey. Thank you.
Yeah, very nice. Nice views of the course, and very nice views of sunny South Shields. Waiting for the runners here at the finish.
Well, we get Paula a lozenge. Brendan, great day, another great day. I don't know what you do. You must be so nice through the whole year. I know you've had the odd bad weather over the years, but every year, what a day it is today.
It's a lovely day, Steve. It's once a year we're rushing a nice day like this, and it happens to come on this day. Vivian Chariot in the blue vest on the inside, just behind Gemma Steele. What a glorious performance that was of hers in the Olympic Games. Personal best in the 10,000 metres, and I spoke to her the other day. She said, I thought after that I was never going to win an Olympic gold medal, but then in the 5,000 metres things turned round. She eventually got going and was able to win that elusive gold medal. So now Vivian Chariot, Olympic career almost behind her, now embarks on the roads, and it'll be very interesting to see what she does.
Well, as we look down on the elite women, of all the great achievements you will see or hear about today, there is one that stands clear of the rest. Claire Lomas suffered serious injuries in a fall from a horse in 2007. It left her paralysed from the chest down. On Wednesday, she started the Great North Run course wearing these robotic legs, which help her to stand every step. A very deliberate and difficult effort, but she has completed the Great North Run today. After 5 days, she did the London Marathon. She's travelled around England in a hand-operated bicycle. She's raised over £500,000 for spinal research. She is also currently expecting her second child. And there's Colin Jackson to give her the medal, and never has a medal been more deserved. You think of all the medals we saw in the Olympics, but
Take a breath.
this one, how special it is.
Take a breath.
Claire, we're at the end. How fantastic does it feel?
That's amazing. I'm worn out. Just going to be pleased to sit down. It's been hard, really hard, but the support has been incredible. Great North Run team. People supporting me, the donations, my support team. Dan in particular, holding me upright. It's hilly out there. It's been tough, and everyone helped me get through. And my little girl Maisie and everyone, really, mum and dad. And yeah, it's incredible.
Well, I met many of them yesterday, and of course we bumped each other in the lift, and you were getting the final preparations. You reminded it, but was it really as tough as you thought?
Tougher and more. It's been extra tough because I didn't train as much as I wanted to, but I'm actually 16 weeks pregnant as well. So it's made it even tougher. I wasn't very well this summer, been sick all the time, so I couldn't get in the suit as much as I wanted, so I didn't. There's been times I just didn't know. It's rubbed me in a few places because the straps are on tight. We've just had to be careful, but yeah, I questioned it a few times whether I'd actually be here today. So absolutely over the moon.
Now this is going to be a really hard question, but anything else planned? Not really at this level?
Pop the baby out first. I'll tell you what, that's a challenge, having two. One drives me mad, I love her to bits, but two. So yeah, that's going to be a challenge. But it's taken me 4 years to get over the London Marathon, 5 years to get over having a baby, and I seem to have forgotten both of them, so I'm doing them both again, so you never know.
Well, do you know what? I've got a special medal as well for a certain person who's behind you, who's been working so hard. Do you think he deserves it?
Definitely, but he's got to run it next year. I said I'd come in to watch him.
Oh, good plan. So I'll give him this medal. Well, there you go, sir. Congratulations, well done, and really get the support from the crowd. You thoroughly deserve it.
Amazing, thank you so much.
Yes, well done to Claire. Was listening to her this morning being interviewed on our colleagues on 5 Live and saying how hard she felt as though it had been. She was explaining there to Colin, but congratulations, she got a great reception here down at the finish, where there are already thousands of people already gathered, and they've got plenty of sun cream, which is good. They don't have sun cream shops normally in South Shields, but they've been doing the ones who do have been doing a roaring trade. So pretty slowish start, guys. 5:31 for the first mile. We're expecting to pick up a little bit though, Paula. That's probably not unusual, given that both Tirnesh and Vivian, fresh from Rio, coming back, probably just feeling their way through these early miles.
Yes, just taking some time to settle into the race. The first mile is slightly downhill, isn't it, before they go down towards the tunnel. So usually it's a little bit quicker than that, but I think maybe the signs that Ali Dixon, Charlotte Purdue, right up at the front of that group, they would have been expecting to maybe be holding on to the back of the front group early on, and we see someone's just decided to push on the pace a little bit there and try and get the race moving. I think it's going to come down to the likes of Priska Jeptu to get this race moving in the early stages, because DeBarber and Chariot did run hard out in Rio, and although have the potential to run 65 minutes or so on this course. Whether they want to today, and Vivian particularly on her debut, we'll see, but certainly not setting out at the pace to challenge that.
So they've come up the fairly steep rise up onto the Tyne Bridge. Crowds gathering there, of course, great vantage point, and then a lot of them will attempt to, once they've seen their friends and the elite runners go by, they then try to get themselves down to the finish as well. But a great vantage point. So the Tyne Bridge. Bren, you can fill me in on this, because there's an emoji now. Well, first of all, you can explain to everyone what an emoji is.
How long do you want me to talk about that one then, eh? I know what an emoji is. It's what you have on your phone.
Exactly. Isn't it a Great North Run emoji, which is the Tyne Bridge?
It is the Tyne Bridge, yeah. I would have thought that was the Tyne Bridge emoji, but yeah, it's an emoji. Lots of the younger audience will know exactly what you're talking about, Steve. Less so about what I'm talking about, but there they go, crossing the Tyne Bridge, the famous site. A group of distance runners of repute and of talent, and eventually we're going to see the masses coming across there. But for the moment, and when you look at the field, the only thing you would look at it as an athlete would be the competition. The times in a half marathon can be fast, and we've seen some wonderful times run on this course. But when you look at the Vivian Chariot and Tyne Barber, two of the world's greatest female distance runners we've ever seen, you would think that the battle between those two and the finishing order between those two, finishing second and third in the Olympic Games in the 10,000 metres, you would imagine that who comes first of those two would be the more interesting question. And there on the inside, Tyne Barber just notices Vivian Chariot following the leader a bit closer and darts through to move and take a bit of closer order to her.
Paula, very quickly, I'm trying to work out Ali Dixon's vest that she's running in. Now you can fill me in, you've just told me.
Well, a well-prepared professional athlete who's competed in the Olympic Games would always remember to bring a vest to the start, wouldn't she? But no, I got a text last night, have you got a spare vest? Because I've forgotten mine, hence why it looks a bit like a dress on her.
Oh, goodness me. Well, she's had other things to think about, but anyway. All right, well, all happening at the front of the women's race, but also let's find out what's happening back at the start.
Right, I'm joined here by Kevin and Michael, footballers, right? You want to do this in about 90 minutes? That's 90 minutes of running around, you're used to it, right?
Not for me, no, it's going to be more 2 hours, I think. But Michael, you're looking for 90 hours?
I used to get sub before 90 minutes, but yeah, if I can get around about that time today, I'll be pretty happy with that.
Well, this is easy, it's just running in a straight line. It's not like we're dodging all over the place. And you haven't got a ball.
As you know, it hurts. It hurts like heck. With your legs, every part of your body the next day is really painful, but for great courses, isn't it? You see how many people come out. I think it's 57,000 today, which is just incredible. It's amazing.
So what great cause are you doing it for today?
I'm doing it for CRY, Cardiac Risk in the Young. So I've done that for the last couple of years, so hopefully we can raise a bit of money along the way as well. It'll be good.
So get behind it, folks. And you're running for the Bob Robertson Foundation?
Yeah, of course. You know, great man in football, and it's a great cause. You know, trying to raise £10 million, I think, in the last 8 years. So trying to buy new equipment, research new science to try and help prevent cancer and treat it as well. So yeah, great cause, and raised a few quid so far. So doing it for those, really, yeah. Amazing.
Thing is, about today, it's a great atmosphere. Everyone, when I've run a marathon before, people always go, oh, the atmosphere's going to really get going. People cheering your name. You're kind of used to that. So how are you going to get through it today? You know, just how are you going to get through it?
It's different, isn't it, in football? Because you're all right. This is not good for me. I'm going to struggle. The last 2 or 3 miles, they're going to have to pull me through. So
You'll be all right. You see, I'm all right once I get past Newcastle. I'll probably get booed for the first 5 mile. And then when I get into Sunderland, I'm okay. They start cheering a little bit. But so that gets me to the end. But it's good fun. I think you say everybody comes out in their droves. It's incredible. You know, 57,000 people doing it. But there must be 200,000 people watching right round the course, which is just incredible, really.
Well, I'm going to wait for the end of you. I'll have a couple of beers for you each, and then we'll have a party tonight.
It's a cold one.
It will be. Don't worry about it. Good luck, gents. Enjoy yourself. Great causes. See you later.
Yeah, well, Mickey Gray, great to see. He runs every year. Mickey's not a bad runner, is Mickey Gray. Does very well every single year.
He's a good footballer as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he played for a good team.
Who was that?
Sunderland.
Okay. Yeah.
You're outnumbered today. You got me and Terry Deary. We're ganging up on you today.
I know that.
I know. But at least you guys are winning, I think. Were you on Match of the Day? Oh, no, you're not anymore. Anyway. At the front, we have the 2 mile split. You saw it was just going through there, actually past the Gateshead Stadium is coming into view at 3 miles, but they're not going particularly quick. 5:35 for the second mile. And Paula, that is the very fact that everybody is still there. I can understand Vivian Chariot, as you said, her first half marathon, feel her way through this a little bit. But you mentioned, Joyce Jepkarui ran pretty quick in New York earlier on in the year. In pretty good shape. Maybe, or Priska Jep too, one of those two might have thought maybe we can break this up a little bit earlier and get things moving a bit.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Priska Jep too probably didn't run as well as she would have expected to, as well as we expected her to do in the London Marathon earlier this year. So maybe she's not in the shape that she was the year before and a couple of years ago here. And she also knows that she's capable of running a very, very fast split in the middle of the race. I think, was it 2 years ago we saw her run that low 30-minute 10K split in the middle of portion of this race, so she can do that to break the race up. But I would certainly expect the likes of her or Joyce Chepkarui to be able to push the pace on earlier and kind of take the race a little bit to Vivian Chariot and Tirunesh Dibaba, because once we get into that last 5 kilometres, then if those two are anywhere near the front, it's not really going to go any other way here today. So to be able to take the race to them, these girls need to challenge them. I think that's why we see Eloise Wellings there at the front, pushing the pace on a little bit, and Gemma Steele alongside her, and just trying to keep the race moving at a decent pace.
Yeah, Eloise Wellings, one of those who followed Vivian Chariot home. There's a whole host of personal bests, weren't there, in that 10,000 metre final. Eloise running very well, getting a top 10 in the Olympics is a great performance. As you see, Gateshead Stadium, and they're just coming alongside there. I've seen, of course, there's so many great international athletics meetings over the years. English Schools was held there again this year.
It was, Steve. It was a great event, as it always is. But Seb Coe was talking last night about 40 years ago this year. He made his first appearance at Gateshead Stadium in his first international race. He ran the mile race against John Walker, who's coming back from the Olympics as Olympic champion, and Dave Moorcroft. And he led them, there's Gateshead Stadium, he led them until the last lap, and it wasn't until they got to the bell when Dave Moorcroft said to John Walker, you better go after him because he's pretty good. But he was only a young lad at university then, he was only 19. But he started his career there, and he was talking quite affectionately about it last night.
Brent's given a few clues. Seb's got a significant birthday coming up in the next couple of weeks, and let's just say it begins with a 6. So happy birthday. Right then, so here we are, right back at the start. Everybody lining up, getting ready. No need for the extra clothing on a day like this. All getting nicely warmed up by the sunshine, and a great atmosphere there. And I think Denise has got somebody else with her now.
I'm here with Ryan McLeod, who has a pretty impressive task to do today. You've been asked to be the pacemaker.
I have, yes. So today I'm working for Duracell, and I am the 1 hour 35 pacemaker. So yeah, I'm going to be running with the masters and setting the pace around 7-minute miling, and hopefully getting everybody to finish on time.
This is actually a huge honour for you.
Yeah, it is. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's great to be in the masters. It's not something that I'd normally do. Normally I'd be in the elite field. So yeah, I'll have to slow myself down and take it easy.
So it's going to be a stroll in the park. What exactly does the time did you say you're trying to set for the runners?
1 hour 35.
And your best is?
1 hour 4.
Okay, so a real stroll in the park.
Yeah, nice and easy for me. Easy Sunday run.
Do you actually get not nervous, but I imagine you don't want to overcook it. You've got to get it right today.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, so I'll use a GPS watch, kind of keep me on track and make sure I'm not going too quick for everybody, because I don't want to make it too fast and too hard for everybody. But everyone knows I'll be at 7-minute mile in there or thereabouts, so hopefully get them to finish on time.
And you've got a very special connection to the Great North Run. Tell us about that.
I have, yeah, a bit of a family connection. My dad was the winner of the first Great North Run and the second one. So yeah, it's a bit of a tradition in our family of doing the Great North Run.
It's in your blood. But what I really want to know is, have you got your little pink ears with you?
I have, right here. Shall I put them on?
Put them on!
I'm going to get a lot of abuse for this.
But you're going to do a fantastic job. Ryan, it's great to talk to you.
Thank you very much, Nice. Thanks.
Ryan's dad, Mickey McLeod, As he said, winning in 1981. Some of us were in that race, weren't we, Bren? That was a long time ago. It was a great day, and I don't think anybody knew what it was going to grow into. It was great in that very first year, and it's certainly lived up to that name since.
And you beat me, Steve, and I'm happy to say that.
I was queuing you up there. Okay, back at the lead in the women's here. Just breaking up a little bit now. You can see Gemma Steele, a blonde ponytail, just bobbing along. They've just run their third mile in 5:22, so it's just picked up a bit. That's still not really fast running. So 5:10 pace would be pretty quick, right? So that's sort of 68-minute half marathon pace, 5:10 miling. I'm looking at Paula. It's about, no, maybe a little bit. It's about that.
It's a little bit quicker. 5:09 miling is 67.5 pace.
Oh, well, hang on. So when I say 5:10 miling is 68 minutes, and you're pulling me up for being wrong. Honestly, Brand, can I talk to you? Because she's giving me a hard time with my maths here.
She's very sharp on those kinds of things, Steve. You know that. We've already seen that before, but there we are. Well, she used to have to work it out herself when she was running, didn't she? Because she didn't have any pacemakers or anybody else around her, so she used to have to do the maths. And when you get beyond about 5 miles, the maths becomes quite difficult, Steve.
Well, anyway, they're running pretty quick now, or a bit quicker, or a little quicker. Anyway, so Jep 2, Chepkirui, Chariot. I'm just having a little look at Tirnesh, Paula. She's, I mean, that performance of hers in London got kind of in Rio got overlooked a little bit because of what was happening ahead of her, the world record, Chariot running so well. But it was a sign, wasn't it? It was a real sign that, you know, she's become a mum last year. That it's still in there with Tirnesh. It's still there.
Yeah, it's a definite sign. I think we sat and watched her run in Manchester in the 10,000 metre 10k on the road there, and you could see the runner that she was, but she wasn't quite back to that level there. And I think what she did in Rio was run a personal best, run very, very close to the old world record, and get herself a medal and be extremely competitive in one of the best 10,000 metre races that we've ever seen. So I think that was a big step for her. Confidence-wise and getting back to this level. So to be able to come into this race on the back of that and know that she has that half marathon experience, that experience of racing on this course as well that Vivian Chariot doesn't have, I think that's why we're seeing her maybe a little bit more confident of these leading group of 5 there, just sitting in, just biding her time, not really using any extra energy. But Vivian Chariot in the yellow there, hard to miss on the inside, but it looks very, very economical too and efficient as she's running there.
You know, when she was talking about the Rio Olympics, she was talking about the 5,000 metres after she'd run a great race, the personal best behind the world record in the 10,000 metres. And she said we were running together, and it was only when we kept hearing the stadium announcer telling us the lap times of Ayana, who was leading at the time, she suddenly started running 72, 73 second laps, and I thought, oh my goodness, she's slowing down. I might be able to win this one. But she said when I crossed the line, I couldn't remember whether I'd passed Ayana and it was in first place, or Ayana had already finished. She said I was so committed in the race. But she said, you know, she spent in London, and there's Gemma Steele. She said she spent time thinking during the race, during the 5,000 metres, when she became Olympic champion. She said she started thinking, well, I'm going to look forward to Tokyo because that's going to be my last chance of winning an Olympic gold medal.
I'll tell you, Ayana remembers her going past her, because I think that was a very decisive move past her that really took the wind that was left in Ayana's lungs away from her.
So that group then just starting to split up a little bit. There's a little bit of pressure being applied by the Olympic 5,000 metre champion Vivian Chariot in her first half marathon, and Tirnesh Dibaba just at the back of that group, just maybe struggling a little bit. Very early stages as they go up the rise towards Hewitt roundabout, but already some significant moves being made in the women's race. Well, meanwhile, they are 4 miles down the road, back on the central motorway next to the town where the main race about to get underway. Mo Farah then, of course, will be introduced to the crowd along with a few of the others on the official start line, or the elite start line. But I was saying earlier in that little preview when Andrew and I were having a chat that this is really Mo's race today, and I think others will be pleased to be there. David McNeil of Australia. Be interesting to see how he goes in his first series half marathon. Aussies having a little bit of a resurgence with their distance running. Well, a man who knows Mo Farah so well, Chris Thompson, long-time friend and training partner in their early days. Chris, who chased Mo home back in the European Championships in 2010, and then watched Mo go on to his great exploits since then. Emmanuel Bett, 33 years of age now, and well, he's always a good solid performer. The Kenyan had a couple of good years back in around about 2012 when he was running very well. Again, didn't make the team, so hard to make the Kenyan team for any major championships. And the same really could be said for Dathan Ritzenheim. Had a go at making the Olympic team. It didn't work out for him in the American trials, which were held all the way back in, I think it was late January, early February. And he had to watch Galen Rupp run so well, of course, in the marathon. And Galen Rupp, big friend, of course, of Mo Farah's, former training partner. And he was Mo mentioning that 10,000 metre final when he fell and had those kind words from Galen. So Mo's ready, everybody else is ready. They all sort of shuffle up a little bit closer to the actual start line, and it'll take many of them a good few minutes to cross the line. We've got two special starters here. David Rudisha, Amy Tinkler, bronze medalist from the Olympics. The local girl is with David. He fires the gun, and the 2016 Great North Run is underway. Mo Farah, the red-hot favourite, and I'm sure all of these people will go home tonight and say, yeah, I raced Mo today. I'll let him win. And it's a great thing. It's a wonderful aspect of these big races, these big mass participation races, that you get to line up with the best in the world. Might not see much of them, but at least you can say you started the race with them. So where they go then, and we'll watch these great scenes every single year as they stream through this start well-oiled machine that sets up all of the processes to make sure everybody, first of all, starts safely, but gets away in a manner which hopefully allows them to have a great day out there, whether they're running for personal best, whether they're running, as many of them, so many of them are, to raise money for various causes, some of them very close to their own lives, some of them they've been asked to help out others, or for some for whom this is the first time they've ever done anything like this. It's a great experience for all. And this year particularly, there's Amy, bronze medal, as I said, and I remember doing a piece with her earlier on in the year where she was talking about Rio, what might happen. I don't think she believed that winning a medal was really up for her, but well done, Amy. And just being pointed out to me that she's wearing a wrist support there. She's worried about all the clapping, the high-fiving. And well, she needs those wrists to work for her, doesn't she?
She's had a bit of advice, but I was talking to her this morning. She's on her way straight from here to the gym this afternoon. I said, well, surely you can have a few weeks off after Rio. She said, no, if you're a gymnast, you've got to get training again. You can only have a couple of weeks, otherwise you lose all your skills and you've got to keep going. So out there today, thousands of people running for amazing causes and amazing charities. And David Rudisha was given advice, don't clap hands with everyone, David. We don't want you hurting in the morning. And I'm a little bit nervous today, Steve, as you were last year. My daughter, Catherine's out there running. And my sister, Anna, who used to run with you at Jarrow Athletic Club, is out there running. So good luck to Catherine and good luck to Anna. We'll be tracking them en route.
Yeah, I just want to say good luck as well. We were talking about kind of our early running days, and one of my neighbours from my childhood days, Kevin Allen, is out there with his wife, Catherine. It's his 12th Great North Run, and raising money for Pancreatic Cancer UK. Catherine running in memory of her first husband, Phil, who died of pancreatic cancer back in 2003.
And there's the queue at the back, and those runners, athletes, lining up there. They're almost a mile away from that start line. You can see them lined up on both sides of the carriageway. The race is underway for many, but there are a hell of a lot more there waiting to get going. As we pan down there, we'll see the crowds there getting ready to move. And the good news is they've got the chips on their ankles and they'll be timed as they go through. But here we are. This start, it's going to take about 45 minutes to get through the start line. There's an awful lot of people lined up on the road there. Awful lot of them walking gently towards the start. And there you can see just beginning to move as they get through the start line, and there they are on their journey. 13.1 miles to go. It seems a bit warm, it's bright today, but there's the centre of Newcastle emptying as they head to the seaside.
The central motorway winding its way through the centre of Newcastle city centre. I said that twice. And down to the Tyne Bridge. Very quick start for them, whereas the women, by contrast, just at this point are making their way towards Whitemare Pool, where they'll take a left, sharp left. They went through 5 miles. That mile there, another 5:28 there. So they've gone through 27:21. So it's picking up a little bit, but not too quick still. So that group there, Tyne Barber is still there. Last time we saw her, just wondered whether or not she was maybe struggling a little bit. But I think maybe she's just staying quiet, as we might say, during this part of the race, letting Chariot and Jep2 and Chep Karui just, they're not really forging the pace, but they're running out the front, and Tyne's just happy to run behind them.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out if she's trying to stay out of eyesight and eye line of the other runners, or whether there's a little bit of a breeze out there and she was trying to get what shelter she could, running behind Eloise Wellings. But certainly for a moment there, Eloise was not happy, and she was looking behind to check who was right behind her and clipping her heels. And I think now she's a little bit happier that Tyne Barber has moved alongside. I think she looks comfortable. I think she's just keeping her powder dry and letting the others get the race moving along in the early stages, and not really need to do anything special herself or use up any too much energy too early on in the race.
So they'll kind of bear left a little bit and then start to turn towards the seafront as they approach 6 miles in the women's race. The men, though, we'll see how they go through the first mile. I'm just been giving it now. 4:32, that's pretty quick. So the men have started much quicker. And given the fact that actually, everything we've been saying about the men, in the sense that it's Mo Farah, the big favourite to win this, and I was saying at the beginning, it's really interesting how fast Mo wants to run today, but at least they've started pretty quickly. The others around him have made sure it's not going to be a jog the first couple of miles.
Well, Steve, I was talking to Dathan Ritzenheim, who's leading there, this morning at the hotel, and the first thing he said to me, Mo must be tired by now, surely. And he's running quite well, so he says he's going to make a run for his money. But at the end of the day, we'll find out as the miles unfold how tired Mo Farah is as they leave the city centre, cross the Tyne Bridge, heading towards South Shields here, where we're waiting at the finish line with thousands and thousands of people. But there, the crossing, the leaders, the start of the elite race and the start of the mass race, crossing the Tyne Bridge. And it'll be a long time before that race empties. But there is Dathan Ritzenheim heading up towards the Tyne Bridge. You can see the lead cars ahead of him. You'll see the figure, the USA athlete who's getting ready to run the New York Marathon in a few weeks' time. And running on the near side there, Mo Farah. I'll tell you what, his ears will be sore if he stays on that side of the track, because they're roaring. You can hear them roaring. But Dathan Ritzenheim, head down, getting ready to make a race of this. And Chris Thompson in the red vest just behind him.
So pretty good pace being set in the early stages of the men's race as they come across the Tyne Bridge on a beautiful day such as this. We won't have time for the views, but it's a great day looking up and down the river. Of course, yesterday we were there for the City Games and the junior runs. The quayside was absolutely rammed, and we've been blessed with the weather this weekend, which is wonderful. And when they come off the Tyne Bridge, of course, down onto the south side of the River Tyne through Gateshead, and to head their way down through Jarrow and then on to South Shields, as we said. The crowds really building on the Tyne Bridge there, and of course it'll take quite a long time for the whole field to come across the bridge, and soon you won't be able to see the road surface at all. It'll be completely covered with the thousands taking part again this year, tens of thousands. All the flags flying, we've heard the stories, we'll be hearing more around all of the different countries being represented this year. A wonderful race which has grown from being a local event, then a regional and national, and now hugely international event, not just in the elite races of course, but right down throughout the field. So various little groups just starting to form. You get into the good club athletes as well. And pretty good pace being set. That's why I'm pretty sure the early group will break up. If they keep running at this pace, there won't be too many in that lead group for too long.
Well, no, 4:32 first mile equals the pace set by Martin Matati when he ran the course record back in 2011 of 58.56. So if they keep running at that pace, then they're definitely on for personal bests for pretty much everybody in this group, including Mo Farah there. But Dathan Ritzenheim at the front has spent a lot of time at the top of this sport. I mean, if I think back, he won the bronze medal in the World Cross Country as a junior in 2001 in the mud in Ostend, and then developed into an outstanding track runner, ran American records over 5,000 metres, and knows Mo Farah very well, trained together with him in Oregon for a long time, and he will want to take the race to Mo. He knows that Mo will come to this race extremely ready and in extremely good shape, but he also wants to be able to go away knowing that he gave it his best shot, and he took the race to Mo a little bit.
Well, you can't blame him running like this, because the question is, has Mo recovered sufficiently from Rio? He's had a couple of weeks since Rio, but there we're looking at the women's race, now getting underway, getting competitive. Tiranish Dibaba on the back of that group, just sitting there nicely. Vivian Chariot looks to be full of running to me. She's really anticipating this race. She's looking forward to a future career at a longer distance too.
Yeah, just a note, Brendan, you can see there the 10K has just been completed in 33.21, but the significant thing is the previous mile 5 to 6 was 4:57. Now it's a quickish mile. You drop down to Whitemare Pool and then take a left as they're coming along now towards Jarrow, but that just shows that the race really has started to get moving, and Dibaba is still there, which is good. I still think she's out working a little bit. Eloise Wellings as a good 80-90 metres behind at this point now, and that's really just all happened in 1 mile. So through 10K, this race really starting to hot up. So
right forward to the back of that group.
Pace getting quicker and quicker, but that is a fast mile. And you know, when you've been running 5:30s and 5:20s, you throw in a 4:57, even, well, I guess Cherry can probably say Ayana threw in a 65-second lap in the middle of the 10,000 metre final, but you know, it upsets the rhythm a bit, and you've got to settle down again after that, because you can't keep running 4:57s all the way at the finish.
No, you can't. But if it is on a slightly downhill stretch, then you can absolutely take advantage of the momentum that you can build up running down there to just increase the stride length a little bit, up the turnover a little bit, and then run a significantly quicker mile. Where that evens out is if you do try and maintain that then on the flat or into the slight incline that will follow that, because that will start to do damage. And you can see that Eloise Dwellings there just was not able to go with that increased turnover and pace, because she was already operating fairly close to her maximum level, whereas these girls were within their maximum and they were just able to adapt to that. And then you see Jep 2 there just checking her watch to see, are we running a little bit quicker, or is she just trying to gauge how much longer she's maybe got to run in the race? Because that's the other difference in the Kenyan athletes. A lot of the time will just think, instead of looking for mile markers along the course, they will just think, I'm going to aim roughly for around about 66, 67 minutes, and I'm just going to run hard as I can for that time.
So while they approach 7 miles, back at the start, David Rudisha still doing a grand job.
I'm getting nervous with him, Steve.
Well, at least he doesn't need, well, he's got no more races, and even if he does, he doesn't need to use his arms. But yes, it's great to see him here. You know, I thought he ran very well yesterday, by the way, and that 500 metres, 57.7, was very, very fast. So he's a big hero. I'm not sure he gets as much of the international recognition that he probably deserves. The respect he has within the sport is immense. So it's great to see him here, and Amy Tinkler as well. Great memories from Rio for both of them. Well, so many people that are out there running for great causes. I mentioned Alex Murray, who's running for Coco, raised approaching £3,000. Well done to her. And Susan Bell running for the Teenage Cancer Trust. Good luck to her as well.
And there we are, 3 mile point. Gateshead Stadium. You can see the athletes in the background running past Gateshead Stadium. Good luck to Simon Hubert, who's running for the charity Breast Cancer Care. Simon's wife Jo died recently. He's running in her memory. He's being cheered on by his family. We know Jo will be with you every step of the way, Simon.
So Dathan Ritzenheim really has set out pretty quickly here. They did slow in the second mile to a 4:40, but Mo Farah happily just tucked in the group there, which is where he will stay for an awful long time, I'm pretty sure. And that group not too big. Chris Thompson there, which is good to see. Chris has been really coming back into some good form, Chris. So he's thrown himself into this. So 5K 14:16. Well, as I said, Dathan setting a good pace there. That's pretty solid. So Abdi, training partner of Mo Farah, follows Mo around and does all of his workouts with him. He was with him in Font-Romeu preparing for Rio. Abdi Rahman and Mayo still there. Scott Overall then leading the next group. And David McNeil, the Australian I mentioned right at the very beginning there. So early stages in the men's race. And Ritzenheim, as we were saying, or Brendan was mentioning earlier on, obviously thinking, well, you know, let's just have a little test and see whether or not Mo is up for this. I think the big question is whether Dathan Ritzenheim can keep running at a strong enough pace for long enough to start to have a real impact, if you like. It's fairly easy to be able to run the first 4 or 5 miles hard. It's what happens after that.
But if you look at the two of them, Dathan Ritzenheim, Chris Thompson, this is exactly what they should be doing. They're making it tough, they're making it fast. They know Mo's come through the physical and mental trials of the Olympic Games. They both are in awe of what he's done there. They both respect him hugely as the world's greatest distance runner of the moment. But they both know that he's human and they sometimes can tire. And really, this is exactly what you want to do. Dathan Ritzenheim, Chris Thompson, Manuel Bett there just behind him, and then Mo Farah enjoying a disproportionate amount of support compared with the others. They're all being cheered on, but that extra special cheer for Mo, who is a national hero, becoming a total distance running legend.
I think for Chris Thompson as well out here today, there's a little bit of frustration being taken out on this race. The last time we saw him on British TV, he was very disappointed with his finish in the London Marathon, but at the same time proud of himself for what he was able to achieve that day off the very limited and very difficult build-up that he had through injury. So he's got himself healthy, he's worked hard over the summer, and I think he wants to come out here and have a good run today and kind of underline the progress that he's made over this summer. So it'd be nice to see him run quick there today.
Yeah, he ran pretty well in his last race, and the Falmouth 7-miler, and you know that probably gave him a good indication of, because you need to kind of have the confidence that your last couple of races have gone okay to even go with this, otherwise you sit with the other pack. So he must be feeling pretty good, must be feeling confident. I'm not sure he would have liked Dathan to have gone out quite as hard as this. Maybe, you know, 15 seconds slower through the first 5K would have suited him a little bit more, and in fact he's just gone to the back of this group as they take the rise up this kind of undulating section up towards Shearwath roundabout. But Ritzenheim just keeping the pace on at the front. Well, as I said earlier a few minutes ago, it wouldn't take long before you couldn't see the road surface at the Tyne Bridge, and there, that was really the picture that went around the UK and then eventually around the world in those early years that made people want to come back and take part in this. And the Tyne Bridge, even though it's in the very early stages of the race, it's become the picture that everybody associates with the Great North Run. And many still waiting. About 3-4 minutes ago I had a note saying 17,000 had crossed the start line. We're probably up to about 20-odd thousand now. So David Radisha, just watch that on, mate, there's plenty left to go. Paddington Bear. Now I saw these two guys, actually they were down at the finish here. So many people come to finish, park their car and then get themselves up to the start line.
And do they go in the metro in their fancy dress, do they?
No, they were beamed up.
All right, okay.
Yeah. Or something.
That's Star Trek.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, I'm mixing things
Star
up.
Wars. They went on the Jedi transporter.
She's correcting you again, it's like being at home on a Sunday morning.
I know. I'm going to have to do my homework more. she's going on a quiz show tomorrow. I'm not going to mention it'll be shown later in the year. If she doesn't do very well, then I'm going to give her a hard time. Ant and Deck, well, great to see them out there again. Now, news in the women's races. I said you wouldn't keep running 4:57s, but, well, they did. They went 4:54 through mile 7, and then 5:04 through mile 8, Paula. That really is quick running. Look at that. That's picked it up to such an extent that DeBarber is definitely struggling now, and Chariot may be sensing that, keeping this pace going.
Yeah, Chariot looks really good and really easy, and I think on her debut, she either comes into it thinking I'm going to sit back and let the more experienced half-marathon girls take it out early on, or I'm going to go out with the attitude that I've got nothing to lose, really. If I get the pace judgment a little bit wrong my first time, well, it's my debut, but I know I'm in good shape. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in, and she's just enjoying the run out here, and it's her first real experience. I mean, she's run a 10-mile on the road, but it's her first real experience of a mass road race, and the support that you can get and the boost that can give you along the route.
Now, this section here, I'm going to ask both of you here. I mean, the pace has picked up. They're running fast now. DeBarber's obviously realised that. And Vivian hasn't run this. I doubt she would have gone on the course. And this John Reed Road bit, this is a tough mile to go at the front in. You know, it's slightly uphill. And maybe that, not knowing the route, she's probably right. I'm feeling good. Pace is good. I'm going to the front. And then all of a sudden you come into a mile that's a bit tougher than the ones you've just been running. So I just wonder whether or not Tyne Barber's being smart and canny here.
Well, her whole career, Steve, she's been smart and canny.
Well, the finish of the wheelchair race, and a very, very close race indeed. And it was, I think, Mark Telford just taking it ahead of Brett Crossley. It was, and Crossley was closing in on Telford all the way. Mark Telford went out early, took the lead and built it up, and then Crossley was closing in, but Telford takes it, the man from Perth in Scotland, ahead of the Leeds athlete Brett Crossley, who is a future Paralympian. I'm sure he might have made it as a para-triathlete this year for Rio, but just came a little bit too early in his development. But here, Mark Telford, the winner of the wheelchair race in the Great North Run.
Yeah, great race from them. Just to continue that point, Brent, about DeBarber. Now all of a sudden Chariot's kind of backed off there, hasn't she? Maybe realising it's not the time to push on.
I think she has, and the gaps have opened slightly and are beginning to increase. But if you look at the front, you're seeing Tyne DeBarber, the greatest female athlete of all time. 3 Olympic gold medals, 3 Olympic bronze medals. No female has individually won more medals than that in the Olympic Games. And next to her, the Olympic 5,000 metre champion. Tyne was an Olympic 5 and 10,000 metre champion. This year, they finished 2nd and 3rd in the 10,000, and then Vivian went ahead to win the Olympic Games in the 5,000. So we're looking at 2 of the legends of female distance running. These athletes are now getting ready after wonderful track careers to move onto the roads. And today, the half marathon is the first step. And suddenly, after 45 minutes of running, Tyne DeBarber suddenly comes to life. And this is the closest and the most competitive we've seen her so far in the race, Steve.
Yeah, they now just have another little downhill bit, and then it goes up again to the next roundabout. Tyne just having a little look behind to see who's still there. Well, there's only Priska Jeptu with that familiar flicked out leg of hers, and Vivian Chariot. So there they go, just back onto the incline. And Tyne might just be sensing that Vivian might have just gone a little bit too early there. It wasn't a big effort, but you could tell Vivian thought, I'm feeling good, go at the front, and she just backed off a little there.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of subtle mind games going on there. I think coming up that incline, Tyne DeBarber sensed that Vivian Chariot had made a little bit of a move and then was just backing off a tiny bit, so she easily just glided alongside her as if to say, oh, okay, I'm still here. That hasn't really done a lot of damage to me, and I'm still here and able to stretch it out, but now I've let you know that I'm here. I'm just going to drop to the back of the group again. And now Vivian Chariot pushes on again and tries again just to turn the screw a little bit more and get a little bit of daylight opening up between herself and Tyne DeBarber.
Yeah, it is real cat and mouse, isn't it? All of a sudden Vivian just, well, she was kind of running alongside, if not a tad behind DeBarber. All of a sudden, as they crested that rise, just pushed on a little bit. DeBarber now on the downhill section, and this is going to be a feature because in the last 3 miles there's a fair bit of this up and down, and it'll be interesting to see whether, you know, if you feel good on the uphill bits and you want to push on, you think you're opponent is struggling on the uphill bits, and then others tend to take the downhill bits a little bit better. And of course we have that steep drop eventually when they come onto the seafront. Right, so the men's race, guys, down to 3 already. So Chris Thompson has dropped off. There's a good pace being set by Ritzenheim, and he's not letting up.
He's doing a very wise thing on his own behalf. He's run here before. He's finished 3rd in the Great North Run before, and now he's doing what he said he would do this morning. He's going to make more run for his money. Emmanuel Bett in 2nd place, Mo Farah in 3rd. So the men's race down to 3, and we've just seen the women's race down to 3. So this is getting competitive now. I'm impressed with Dathan Ritzenheim. He's running impressively here. He's running strongly. He's running well.
Well, he's preparing for the New York Marathon in 8 weeks' time, and I think he came to this race wanting to run hard, wanting to make it a hard tempo run out. He's struggled a little bit to really run to his potential, I think, in the marathon. He's struggled a little bit to get his fueling right and his drinking right. So he's definitely using this as a test and as a build, and he wants to go into New York City in 8 weeks and run well.
Meanwhile, at the Tyne Bridge, friends of the Great North Run, great friends of the Great North Run, the red arrows flying overhead, honouring this event with their flag mast, as they have done for so many years now. I think all the way back to 2002, they've come every single year, and they're very welcome indeed. On a resplendent day such as we have on Tyneside, we get a spectacular view of their skill and expertise, and we will be seeing more of them a little bit later on. So, interestingly, De Barber then struggling to stay with this as they've gone through 15k in 48.55, and then that's around about 15:30, Paula, for that 5k section, which is very quick for a 5k section, and that's why De Barber is struggling.
Yeah, I think she made that little move alongside, maybe in a gesture to try and just get the pace to back off a little bit and intimidate the other two into doing that. Because a little while back there, I thought it was Priska Jeptu who was really struggling to stay with that increase in pace and to stay with the pace as it's moving along. But now it's Tirunesh who's just allowed that gap to open up, and then that's hard now because she's now running on her own for the rest of this race, and she can see the two ahead of her, and she's working hard to be able to close the gap and get back to them, but she's not really making any inroads in that. In fact, it's growing slightly.
So around about 15 metres between Tirunesh De Barber and the leading pair here of Vivian Chariot and Priska Jeptu. Jeptu, former winner of this race back in 2013. Vivian Chariot, first time running this distance, but looking very good indeed, carrying her Rio brilliant Olympic form into this race. But they've still got around about 3.5 miles, maybe a tad less than that to go. Approaching the 10-mile point, that's at the roundabout before they come into the Nuke. And then 1 or 2 more little hilly sections. They're not big hills, but they're hills when you're at 10 miles, which certainly can have an effect. They're inclines really, but they can have an effect.
Yeah, I mean, they're drags, aren't they? And they drag for a long time, for almost a mile. And I think that can be very tiring when you're running as hard as you can over a 13-mile distance and you're already 11 miles into the race.
So the Red Arrows just heading, or they will eventually head down to South Shields. And the guys have made their turn now at Whitemare Pool. They're approaching the 10-kilometre point, and we'll be able to get an indication, but it's Emmanuel Bett now who's taken up the challenge, and Mo Farah slots straight in behind the Kenyan.
And he's telling Dathan Ritzenheim, just follow me, just slip in behind me. Just a little word from Mo and his former training partner Dathan Ritzenheim. Just through 6 miles, coming up to the 10k split, and they'll know exactly what they're doing here. And Mo kind of trying to dictate things, as he does on the track. He does it on the track by his very presence. He's doing it on the roads by just telling them, right, you go to the front, I'm going to have a little bit of a break. Dathan, you get behind me, do as you're told. Mo conducting the orchestra.
I think Dathan's getting behind him because he can't go any faster anymore. I think that's probably why. But yeah, Mo was probably saying, yeah, you've done a good job, try and hang on. But I think Dathan's going to struggle to hang on too. I mean, he had to go and he set that pace, but inevitably, if they were going to keep running at this pace, he was going to run, I think he was saying he was in 61, 62 minute shape. Well, what they start running 60-minute pace, then he's going to struggle. So approaching 10 kilometres, you could just see it on the left-hand side, the orange sign And we'll get that split in just a second. And their previous miles have been around the 4:40. Their slowest mile has been 4:40. So a good pace, not record pace, but a good pace being set. So Bet, Farah, and that gap now starting to appear, and Ritzenheim will have to concentrate hard to hang on to that third place. Got a long way to go there. He's going to be running his own race. 28:32 through 10 kilometres. It's not bad on the track even, isn't it, if you're running 28:32?
Well, actually, funnily enough, Steve, I told Emmanuel Bet this morning, and he said, if I feel strong in the race, well, every athlete says that, but he says, if I feel strong in the race, I'm going to try and run away from Mo Farah, because I know he's been some magnificent performances in the Olympic Games. I'll just see if I'm strong enough to run away from him. Well, he's in the front. Can he run away from Mo Farah?
So those three have got around a 30-second lead on the chasing group. Ritzenheim, as I said, we'll have to keep an eye on what's happening. Tomo has, well, he started quickly and maybe going to pay for that. He's already now a minute. I mean, if you consider he was with that group 2 miles ago and he's lost 52 seconds in 2 miles. Well, that gap's not getting any bigger, and the longer Tirunesh Dibaba can hang on to that gap, the more her confidence can grow. This is the roundabout where they head into the Nuke area I was talking about earlier on, and they've got about 1.5 miles to go before they reach the seafront, and that hasn't really got any bigger, Paula, and that, you know, Chariot might be aware of that. You just wonder whether one of these two make a little bit more of an effort to push on, or did that midsection, you know, quick running put paid to their chances of kind of picking the pace up from here?
Oh, you saw Priska Jepchi just take a little bit of a look over her shoulder as she went round the roundabout there, just enabled her to gauge how big that gap was back to Tirunesh Dibaba, and then she increased the pace, put her head down again, and just kept working hard. And Tirunesh Dibaba hasn't slowed down. They've picked up, so their last mile was a 4:58, so again a sub 5-minute mile, and that just increases the pressure on Tirunesh Dibaba. And from that overhead shot there, that gap, she's just managing to maintain it, and that's hard when you're working really hard and you feel like you should be able to close that gap and the gap should be getting less, and you actually just see it stuck the same. It can be very demoralising.
It's a tantalising gap, that, though. It's not definitely all over for Tirunesh Dibaba. She's definitely working to try and close that gap. And let's face it, you know, we've seen her over the years. We've seen her how great she is as an athlete, but we very rarely think about her as a competitor, because when she wins, she's been winning easily over the years. And here she is in this race. She's won it before. She's just come back from the Olympic Games, personal best in the 10,000 metres. She's got a few more road races to run in the autumn time, and then she's getting ready to run a marathon next year. So Tirunesh Dibaba, the greatest female distance runner of all time, now in that limbo between, can I just hang on, can I close the gap? But you're looking at a formidable athlete with Vivian Chariot, and I know it's her debut, but to be honest with you, she's a great runner.
Yeah, she's an exceptional runner. But the other thing about Tirunesh Dibaba is the difference since she's come back from taking the break to have her son Nathan, and to come back to racing, is that mental. She's mentally tougher, she's mentally stronger. And before that, maybe because we never actually saw her tested by being dropped in a race, and could she keep the concentration, could she keep the fight going when she was seeing the wind drift away from her a little bit. But she's certainly shown in Rio and then here today that she can maintain that, and she can really keep the concentration and keep working away. And one chink shown by these two in front of weakness, and I think she will pounce on that and she will start closing that gap down.
Well, Chariot, and still at the start, the athletes are streaming over the start line. Thousands and thousands of athletes on their way. A mile to the Tyne Bridge, and we've seen the red arrows over the Tyne Bridge. The waves to the crowd from the crowds of runners. And we almost see the back of the field there. Poor David. I'm delighted he's changed hands, Steve. At least he'll have both hands so.
I love good memories though, and so many still waiting to get going. Probably around about 29,000 over the start line now. Caroline Suttill, give her a mention. She's running for Tees Titans, a wheelchair basketball club in Middlesbrough. Her son Connor's a member. Connor and Josh, her sons, will be cheering Caroline on. Of course, many of you know will have been watching the Paralympic Games as well, our wheelchair basketball teams, etc. And of course, so many people getting inspired by things they've watched over the years, whether it's the Great North Run on TV, whether it's Mo, our Paralympians winning, etc. It's great to see so many people, not only in this event, but events all around the country, getting out and enjoying. And what we always know has been a good thing to do, get out and run a few miles. You don't always have to run as hard as these guys, but enjoyment there for everybody to get involved in. So Dathan now has managed somehow to pull himself back together. And I was going to say, is that because it's slow? But it hasn't, though. You can see there from the splits. They are fast miles, the 6 and 7. They're always quicker miles here. So a 4:24 and a 4:23. So whatever Dathan Ritzenheim was doing, when he didn't listen to Mo either, because Mo said run behind me, and he's not doing that. But it's good to see him back involved.
He's having another dig. He's having another go here. He wants it now. He wants a position. He thinks he's got a position. He thinks he's on the rostrum. He's looked over his shoulder. He's checked the distance behind. And now he wants the time and some sort of performance to be proud of. He's working hard. He's running well. Those miles, 4:24, 4:23, were impressive. And there's Dathan Ritzenheim leading the men's race. And the women's race, Priska Jeptu just edging a few yards ahead of the great Vivian Cheruiyot. And down the road there, that gap certainly now isn't closing behind Tirinish Dibaba. So Priska Jeptu, and remember when she won this race a few years ago, her last couple of miles were absolutely phenomenal. And we're looking at the chasing Tirinish Dibaba. She's still keeping her eyes firmly fixed ahead. That gap has not grown very much at all, but she is one outstanding athlete. And normally in this position you'd say she's got no chance. But with Tirinish, you could never say that.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, it's not a brilliantly fast pace. It was a slow start, and they did pick up in the middle of the race. But you know, they're now running They ran 5:13 through for the previous mile. So, and this is a bit more of a difficult section. They're going to run probably inside 68 minutes. It's not super fast. So, the Dibaba struggling to stay with that. And now Cheruiyot for the first time, and of course this is where the track athletes. Oh, you'll know this, Paula. You know, you start hurting a little bit and you think, well, actually, there's not that far to go, but it still is a way to go, particularly if somebody's forcing the pace. And I'm interested to see how she copes with this steep downhill section onto the seafront. And maybe then she'll rally a little bit, but she's got to hang on to Jeptu until that point.
Yeah, maybe somebody's told her already about that steep drop onto the seafront out here at South Shields, or maybe she doesn't. And then it's definitely going to be, I think, a deciding factor, because there's a certain technique to coming down that seafront. I mean, we've discussed it before, haven't we? But if you really hammer down the hill, then your quads, tired after 12 miles of running on the roads, find that very difficult to absorb, and then it's a struggle to keep moving along the last mile along the seafront. So much better just to relax and almost let the momentum carry you down the hill and not worry about trying to brake too much. But having said that, I mean, Vivian Cheruiyot's an extremely tiny, light runner, so she's not going to have a huge amount of shock to absorb, and she should be able to probably just float down that hill and then pick it up. The bigger factor will be any kind of breeze on the seafront, but looking at the flags out in front of us, it doesn't look like it's significant here today.
Well, my shock absorption isn't as good these days as it used to be. The knees are a bit dodgy.
Mine's worse than that, Steve, I can tell you. And there's Dathan Ritzenheim now working it. Still pulling the three of them here. The athletes are in another 4:28 miles, so this middle pace is pretty strong. And Dathan Ritzenheim is clearly here. He wants to run a good time, that's obvious. 8 miles behind him, 5 miles to go. And the women are now approaching the seafront down the hill, and there you can see the cautious approach to the hill. Priska Jeptu's been here before, but Tirinish Dibaba's been here before, but Vivian Cheruiyot in the pole position here, just on the shoulder of the leader, the athlete who's getting ready to move up to a career at the marathon, a few yards behind her teammate. Priska Jeptu leading as they come onto the seafront. The great Vivian Cheruiyot, Olympic champion, world champion, and now on the seafront in South Shields in her first half marathon. 12 miles behind her, 1.1 miles to go. Is it going to be a glorious debut for Vivian Cheruiyot, or is Priska Jeptu, the previous winner of this event, going to run away from her?
Well, Tirnesh Dibaba still isn't that far away, and there's a mile, 1.1 miles to go. So, you know, she's about, what, 5, 6 seconds? There she is. That's not that far. And this race might not be over yet, even for Tirnesh Dibaba. Once they crest this rise, you know, the finish, it's about judging your effort here. You know, Jeptu's obviously decided, right, I'm off now. I think Chariot's under pressure. I've got a mile to go. If I can run a, you know, sub 5 minute last mile, then I'm going to win this. But Chariot hanging on to her. But Dibaba, for me, is moving well again. And she just might be thinking, I've got a chance.
Yeah, I think the deciding factor here is going to be that pretty much the writing's on the wall for Priska Jeptu. She's got a mile, and if she winds it up and runs that mile as hard as she can, she's got a chance to win this race. But unless she breaks Vivian Chariot, she's not going to be able to do that. And in that is a subplot of Tirnesh Dibaba trying to catch them, which is going to lose out to the fact that Jeptu is pushing the pace because she has to. If this was two fast finishes, if this was Dibaba and Chariot and Jeptu closing, there might be a chance there would be a bit of cat and mouse and they would watch each other. Jeptu's only got one chance to win this race, and that's to run it as hard as she can.
Tirnesh Dibaba is 4 seconds behind this lead too. Now 4 seconds is not a lot, and I mean on the roads it's funny, isn't it, Brendan? If you said 4 seconds on the track and I've got 3 laps to catch it up in, you'd think you have a chance. You go on the roads and you're 15 metres behind and you've only got 3/4 of a mile, you think, oh, I don't know if I can do that. But I think Dibaba's making a real effort here, a real effort.
And what's in her mind? There's clearly one thing in her mind. She could have settled for third. She hasn't settled for third. She's chasing the great Vivian Chariot, Priska Jeptu, previous winner of the Great North Run, the Olympic 5,000 metre champion in the blue vest on the near side, getting ready to make a move. And here comes Tirnesh Dibaba, the great distance runner that she's been on the track. They're through 20 kilometres, just over 1,000 metres to go. Priska Jeptu looks as though she's working very hard. Tirnesh is working hard too. That gap is just a little bit too powerful, too much, too far.
Well, she got it to 3 seconds, and then it just all of a sudden you probably sensed that the effort to close that gap was becoming a bit too much, and it's now gone to 4 and maybe 5 seconds again now. So a big effort from Dibaba. Doesn't look as though it's going to be enough though to get her to these front two. So it's Jeptu and Chariot. Chariot now doing what all good kickers do. Let you know I'm here. Let you know that this isn't good enough. You haven't broken me here. 800 metres to go. If it was on the track the last 2 laps, this is a foregone conclusion because Jeptu would never outkick Chariot, the Olympic 5,000 metre champion. But it's not on the track, this is on the roads.
And she's got to wait now. She's got to make one move as Vivian Chariot, the world champion on the track, Olympic champion on the track. Can she become, in her debut at the half marathon, a champion on the roads? And Priska Jeptu isn't giving this one up easily, Steve.
Well, Paula, you know what it's like. Try and run the finish out. What's her chances here? Surely she must be thinking, you know, the inevitable is going to happen.
Yeah, I think at this point now, a second ago I was looking at the gap there and thinking she's got a tiny bit there. She knows she's got a tiny bit. But that was all that she had, I think, to create that. And now it's a foregone conclusion. Now when Vivian Chariot's moved in front and there's, what, 600 metres left to run in this race, I don't think Jeptu's going to come back onto the shoulder of Vivian Chariot and be able to take this victory.
So a little 3 metre gap appears. Chariot hasn't really started kicking here, and Jeptu gives it another go. And maybe Chariot was just worried that they were going to go a bit too slow and let Dibaba just have one more chance of thinking she might get there. So they come down now and they're approaching the last few 100 metres. Jeptu desperately trying to hang on, and Chariot, well, Ayana ran away from her in the 10,000 metre final, but when it comes to finishing races quickly on the track, Chariot is definitely one of the best. Over the years, she'd been outkicked by Dibaba at Olympics. She's won world titles, and then finally in Rio came away to win the 5,000 metre gold medal. But now, with just 200 metres to go in her first ever half marathon, she's got enough of a gap there that would suggest she can continue to build on that, and she does. Vivian Chariot of Kenya moving away from her teammate Priska Jeptu, the winner in 2013, 2 former winners behind Vivian Chariot. And if she does have a career on the roads ahead of her, maybe the marathon, certainly the half marathon, she's got it off to a brilliant start by coming to take the title in her first ever visit to the Great North Run. Vivian Chariot wins, Jeptu takes second, And Tirunesh Dibaba crosses the line a few seconds behind in third. Great race from three very, very good athletes. The two big names, Chariot and Dibaba, of course, the ones which everybody were talking about beforehand. Jet2 got in amongst them. It wasn't a particularly fast time on a day when the early miles dictated the finishing time, but it did hot up in the middle of the race, and that's a fantastic debut for Vivian Chariot. And who knows, it might just make her have a little think about where she goes next in her career. So we're just waiting as these three finish a long way ahead of the rest. See who is heading down the road behind them. We think Gemma Steele isn't too far away, but that's Eloise Wellings, I think. 800 metres to go for her. So we have the top three across the line in the women's race. Great win for Chariot. So we can go back, and now developments in the men's. No more Emmanuel Bett. Dathan Ritzenheim, after, well, I can only assume was a little bit of a patch where he wasn't feeling too good or whatever, really picked up the pace, and he's thrown in some hard miles in the middle of that race. And Mo Farah, though, sticking to him like glue. I wonder if he's whispering now, get behind me. I don't think so. Dathan doing a great job. You've got to hand it to him. As we see there, 42.36 through 15k. And that's a pretty good running from the American. St. Paula, you know, he was one who a lot of American fans really wanted to see do well, wanted to see him make the team for Rio, wasn't able to do that. And so it would have been tough for him to watch Galen Rupp go and win his medal, I'm sure. But it's good to see him running so well today.
Yeah, I think it was really tough for Dathan. He had cramping issues, and I'm not sure he was even able to finish the trial, but certainly he wasn't able to do himself justice, and he said he was in very, very good shape for that trial, but just got something wrong, and something started cramping up within his body, and he wasn't able to run well and to make that team. And I think that was very hard for him. He knew it was his last real shot at making the US Olympic team, so he's bounced back from that. He's gone away and trained hard over the summer. He will have watched, and he will have been pleased to see Galen Rupp, former training partner of his, run so well in the marathon in Rio, but he dearly wanted to be in that race, and I think this is now making up for that. And you can see a little bit on his face there. He's very focused on this, putting a lot of effort into this early on, and he's making this a hard run. He's really taking it to Mo Farah and saying, okay, you might come and you might beat me here on your home turf, and I know it means a lot to you, but I'm going to make you work hard for it, and I'm also going to get some good tempo running training in the bank to make sure that I can come back in marathon in New York and run well too.
Well, the pace he's running, Paula and Brendan, is not too far off his personal best. He's never broken an hour. He's run exactly 1 hour, which is, you know, very frustrating for him, but you know, he's running a good pace here. It really depends on what happens now. It's not so much about how you get to 10 miles, it's completing it after that. We'll come back to that in a minute as we see Eloise Wellings coming in to finish in 4th place, and the clock on 71.22. Sorry, excuse me, 5th place. And I'm going to make apologies to our winner, Vivian Chariot. I completely forgot it's her birthday today, so she said happy birthday as she crossed the line. One great thing, what do all their athletes talk about when they've finished a season and finished a big race, particularly some of the women I was chatting to yesterday after the event, saying, I can't wait for a bit of cake, so a bit of birthday cake coming up for Vivian Chariot. So Charlotte Purdue will be the first of the British athletes to finish. So it's good to see Charlotte Purdue coming in. So Chep Carew was 4th, Wellings 5th, Charlotte Purdue 4th. Oh.
Well done, girlfriend. Great run.
Well done, guys. So that's a pretty good run from Charlotte Purdue. About 72.20 thereabouts. So not too far off a personal best. I think that's Eloise's daughter.
Oh.
Right, anyway, so back to this pace being set by Ritzenheim. I was trying to make the point that he's operating in an area he hasn't been in too many times, so it's great to see him doing this. But I was also making the point, guys, that you can get to 10, 11 miles and then not being able to finish it off well. The question for him now is, can he finish this well? He's testing Mo Farah, but he's also testing himself here.
And the important test is for him, because he knows that when it comes down to the finishing area, in the last couple of 100 metres, you would never bet against Mo Farah on the roads, on the track indeed. But Dathan Ritzenheim has run a fine race today. He came here and with a view was, let's find out how tired Mo Farah is. Let me run as fast as I can. He had a good 10-mile build-up in the race in America. He ran 47 minutes. He's getting good support now because he's really taking this to Mo Farah. And at the end of the day, I think Dathan Ritzenheim is going to get a reward. He's run 60 minutes flat, as you said, Steve. Could he go under the 60-minute pace here?
I think he's given it a good go and he's given it his best shot. I think hats off to Dathan Ritzenheim out here today, because how many times have we said that those guys racing Mo Farah in a championships just let him dictate the race and let him run the race that suits him. Well, Dathan, I mean, obviously he knows Mo well. He spent time training with him. He knows him as a character, but he has come out and he said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to run my race and I'm going to give it the best shot that I know to try and beat you, and I'm going to hit you where I know your only possible weakness might lie, and that's making it hard in the middle of the race and really making you work for it and just see how tired you are. We do know that Mo Farah is in great shape, and he's been away and he's put his head down the last couple of weeks since Rio and has got ready again for this race, because it's important to him. It's important to him to come here and win here. But this is not the race being handed to Mo on a plate with a little bit of a pacemaker to keep the race moving at a decent pace. This is Dathan Ritzenheim giving it a really good shot to try and win this race.
Well, you know how much it would mean to him to try and beat the great Mo Farah. I mean, the test for Mo, though, he's done the Olympic Games, he's gone through all of that, he's gone back to Oregon, he's settled down for a couple of days, he's then got back into training, he's won this race twice in a row. No one's ever won it 3 times in a row. He's desperately keen to win it a third time in a row. But the other thing, he's getting a harder race than we anticipated, than anybody anticipated. And Dathan Ritzenheim is really making it. He's not looking over his shoulder anymore. He's not doing what he's told by Mo anymore. He's not slipping in behind Mo as Mo was asking him to do earlier on. So now we've got a race, a yard or two there. And is this Dathan Ritzenheim? He's not trying to run away from Mo at this point, is he?
Well, we've had over 40,000 cross the start line, and still they continue. Pretty much, I think the last runner will have crossed the start line pretty soon, and they'd be thinking, I'm sure if you had whispered in this, Mo Farah's at the 10-mile point. Actually, he's past 10 miles, and that's just an indication of how quick these guys at the front are going. So Ritzenheim keeping the pressure on. They went 4:44 through that 10th mile. It's one of the slow miles, so is the 11th one. So I'm just waiting for it to come up. 4:46, so that is actually the slowest mile of the course, but is one of the tougher miles. So perhaps Dathan just struggling a little bit to keep the pressure on. I think the next one will be interesting to see what happens, because Mo is biding his time now. He's getting a little bit of a cruise, if you like, with Ritzenheim. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to go at the front. He's not going to help the American. Ritzenheim heading for a good race in whatever happens in the last couple of miles. He's done very well here, and it'll be a pretty quick run from him as long as he doesn't completely fall apart in the last 2 miles. But can he build it? Can he put a little bit more pressure on Mo Farah?
I think he's already operating personal best, and certainly personal best effort out there today, so I'm not sure how much more Dathan Ritzenheim can lay down there. He really has put everything out there, and he wants to be able to maintain that to the finish, so he doesn't want to overcook it on this last little bit of a section before he hits the seafront. He'll know that the closer this gets to that seafront, the more it is into definite Mo's territory. Mo's going to pick it up in the last mile and just come past him. But he knows the course well as well, Dathan. He's run here 2-3 times before, I think. Starting maybe 10 years ago, 2007, 2006, I think he's come and raced well here. So he knows the course and he knows how to judge his effort, and he is a very, very experienced road racer and just racer on any surface, but certainly at judging his effort on the road. You rarely see Dathan get it spectacularly wrong and really fall apart in the last couple of miles.
He's doing what every distance runner would want to do, trying to lead Mo Farah in this event, running hard, running fast. 10 years ago, he came here and he was third in the Great North Run. He's tried many things since. He's tried many distances since. 5,000 metre time of under 13 minutes, so he's a class athlete in every sense. And he's doing what all distance runners would love to be able to do. Love to tackle Mo Farah at least. Try and beat him. Well, he's trying to beat him. He's trying to run away from him. Mo's just relaxing there. Look at Mo, just comfortably there, just cruising. Beautiful style, beautiful action, beautiful economic action. And on the track, well, we know he's invincible. He's been beaten in this event before, but he's won it the last 2 years. Is this Mo Farah on his way to a third?
Well, you would suspect so, and Mo just moving out a little bit from behind the shadow of Ritzenheim, sensing that, well, if Mo wanted to push on at this point, he could still dip under 60 minutes. He'd be more interested in winning the race, because I think he senses that Ritzenheim is working so hard to try and maintain this sort of pace here. So when they drop down through 12 miles, which should be fairly soon, probably in about another minute or so, and when they drop down through this steep downhill section at just near Marsden, there's Mo gone. Look, he's away, and that's a sense of somebody who hasn't got dead legs. You can see Ritzenheim braking hard down there, whereas Mo just flowing down the hill, letting himself go, and just wants to make sure he doesn't do himself any damage. And it is better, as Paulo's saying, to let yourself relax down the hill. And Mo might even let Ritzenheim come back to him here, but now that he's got that gap, why not push on? He can certainly knows he's pretty much got this race won. It's just a case of how hard he wants to go in the last mile or mile and a quarter, thereabouts. He's got about 5 minutes more of running here, and now he has a lead of 10 metres. Has a little look behind, and all of the support along the seafront here, and there are thousands of people out here on a beautiful day at South Shields to welcome Mo Farah. Keeps checking behind. I don't think he's got too much to worry about. Ritzenheim's race looks run. He's run a very strong and a very good race, Ritzenheim. You could see how hard he was working half a mile back, and now he's got to concentrate, keep his eye on the back of Mo Farah, and try and make sure he can stay as close to him as he can, because he's heading for a pretty quick time.
I wonder if Mo can actually enjoy this now. He seems as though he's broken Dathan Ritzenheim. He was cruising when he came around the corner. He's got all the victories behind him. He's got those glorious moments from Rio behind him. He's got less than a mile to go now on his way to attempt to win his third Great North Run, which looks as though he's going to achieve it. He's worked hard for this. He's worked hard for everything in his athletic career. And I wonder if he would just relax. But he's doing what runners do. They're closing on in on the finish. They keep driving, they keep working. He's not relaxing and enjoying it. He'll enjoy it when it's finished.
Well, Mo's time that he ran in Cardiff, remember the weather was a little bit different in Cardiff, wasn't it? And particularly the last 2-3 miles, I mean, a squall, should we call it a squall, came in. Well, it was gale force winds, rain driving them sideways. Mo nearly got blown over at one point when he went past a junction, and he ran 59.59 on that day. I think he's going to be very close to that. He keeps looking behind. If he does, as you said, Brendan, he's hopefully enjoying this. The crowds are going to be cheering him on. If he can lift himself with the support, he's still got a chance of going under the 1 hour mark, and Ritzenheim still got a chance of running certainly perhaps his second best ever half marathon. So the American trying to hang on, trying to work hard. That 12th mile was a quick one. It always is when they drop down, but Mo's carried that pace on, looking good. So Farah doing something which is, of course, familiar in the sense of winning, but he doesn't have too many races these days where he's out in front on his own for as long as he's going to be here.
Well, none of his track races are like this, Steve. They always come down to the last 400 metres. But one of the most familiar sights in British sport, Mo Farah winning a big race. Mo Farah stretching out his last race of the season, 800 metres remaining, the miles that have gone before. A glance over his shoulder. Dathan Ritzenheim's working hard now, and Mo Farah, well, 600 or 700 metres to go. The end of a glorious year and a glorious 4 years since 2012 with all the victories he's achieved. Well done, Mo Farah. Well, I'm not sure he's that bothered about going sub 1 hour, because I think he's going to be right on the
margin. If he'd really tanked this last 500 or 600 metres, as we see him do on the track, he definitely would have broken it. He doesn't need to do that. And so if he just sort of maintains his rhythm and his cadence that he has at the moment, he might just miss the 1 hour mark. That doesn't matter. The crowd came here to see Mo Farah win, and that's what they're going to be watching. That's what Mo's delivered for them. The hero of British athletics, being cheered on by thousands of people here. Of course, none of them got the chance. Well, I'm sure maybe 1 or 2 did get the chance to go to Rio and cheer him on there. We had great British support in the stadium, but this is their chance to come out on the streets of Tyneside and see not only Britain's hero, but one of the greatest distance runners of all time. You have to say that with the record that Mo Farah now has at major championships. 2 more Olympic gold medals to add to the amazing tally that he already has, and it's not going to stop there, is it? We'll be seeing him, of course, in London at the World Championships next year. Many of these people may well have already bought tickets for that, but Mo Farah stretching away, continuing his glory run here in the last 150 metres. He's had to really go some to break the 1 hour. He's probably looking at the clock, and he's not going to be too bothered about that today. No need for the big Mo sprint. No need for him to panic or worry. No need to watch the clock. He's just enjoying this. Here he goes. And that might even be a little different way, but there we get the Mobot. Mo Farah wins his 3rd Great North Run, makes another little bit of history. Ritzenheim running very fast indeed for him, not far outside his personal best for 2nd spot. He did really well today. He made Mo work for it, no doubt about that. You can see how tired Mo Farah is there, and I don't think Mo was bothered at all about the winning time, that he's just slipped outside the 1 hour. That wasn't important today. The win was so important. Winning in front of this huge crowd here and winning his 3rd Great North Run.
Coming down the finish there, Steve, the word tired, you haven't applied to Mo Farah this year. He was tired coming down the finishing straight today, wasn't he?
Emmanuel Bett coming in for 3rd place. Pretty solid run for him. The clock's just ticked over 61 minutes. So Bett did well to hang on to his 3rd spot. Sometimes difficult if you make the commitment in the early, well, certainly in the middle part of the race when the pace really did pick up. You've got to hang on and concentrate, and he's done that very well. So Mo waiting to congratulate Bett. These 3 are medalists in this year's Great North Run. Mo's still a bit hands-on, he's still recovering. Took it out of him, didn't it? I think he's got another couple of races to go as well.